Welcome back to our in-depth series on outdoor survival. Today, we're not just discussing, but delving deep into 10 essential skills that could be vital in a wilderness survival scenario. Whether you're a hiking enthusiast, a camping aficionado, or just love to be prepared, these skills are indispensable for anyone stepping into the great outdoors. The Rule of Threes. The Rule of Threes is a cornerstone of survival wisdom, emphasizing the prioritization of needs in a survival situation. It asserts that a person can survive for about 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter in extreme conditions, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. This rule highlights the critical importance of addressing immediate threats to life first, such as suffocation or severe bleeding, before attending to other survival needs. Shelter is your next priority, especially in harsh environmental conditions. Exposure to extreme cold or heat can be life-threatening within a few hours. Constructing a shelter, whether from natural materials like branches and leaves or using a tarp, is essential to protect against the elements, including wind, sun, rain, and snow. This shelter not only offers physical protection, but also provides a psychological sense of security, which can be vital in a survival situation. Water and food are the next priorities. The human body can last significantly longer without food than without water, making finding a reliable water source crucial. Techniques for finding and purifying water, like boiling or using purification tablets, are vital skills. While food is the last priority on this list, knowing how to identify edible plants and animals, as well as having the skills to hunt or fish, can sustain you over a more extended period and should not be underestimated. 2. Building a shelter. Building a shelter is one of the most crucial skills in outdoor survival. A well-constructed shelter can protect you from adverse weather conditions and environmental hazards. It can conserve heat on cold nights, provide shade from the sun, and offer a barrier against wind and rain. The type of shelter you build will depend on the available materials, your environment, and the tools at your disposal. A lean-to shelter, for instance, can be constructed with minimal tools and materials and provides excellent protection. In many environments, the location of your shelter is as important as its construction. It should be placed in a safe area, away from potential hazards like falling branches, rising water, or animal paths. The ground should be dry and flat to provide comfort and prevent water from entering the shelter. When building, consider factors like wind direction, sun exposure, and the availability of materials. Insulating the shelter with leaves, grass, or snow can provide additional protection against the elements. A good shelter not only offers physical protection, but also a psychological boost. It can provide a sense of safety and normalcy in a stressful situation, which can be vital for maintaining morale and a positive mindset. In survival scenarios, the psychological comfort provided by a good shelter can be just as important as its physical benefits. 3. Water purification. Water is a vital resource in survival situations, and finding a reliable source is a top priority. However, it's crucial to ensure that the water is safe to drink. Untreated water can contain harmful pathogens, so purification is essential. But boiling is the most reliable method to purify water, killing bacteria, viruses, and parasites. If boiling isn't possible, purification tablets or filters can be used. In extreme cases, techniques like solar stills or transpiration bags can extract water from the environment. When searching for water, look for flowing sources like streams or rivers, as standing water is more likely to harbor pathogens. Be aware of your surroundings and avoid water sources near industrial areas, agricultural runoff, or animal grazing areas, as these can be contaminated with chemicals or bacteria. Collecting rainwater or dew with a clean cloth or container can be a safer alternative when other sources are questionable. Staying hydrated is about more than just physical health. It also impacts cognitive functions and decision-making. Dehydration can lead to fatigue, confusion, and poor judgment, which can be dangerous in survival situations. Efficient water management, such as rationing and finding ways to minimize physical exertion to conserve water, is a crucial aspect of survival strategy. 4. Making fire. Fire making is a quintessential survival skill with multiple benefits: warmth, ability to purify water, cook food, and signal for help. In a survival situation, creating fire can be challenging, especially in wet or windy conditions. Mastery of various techniques is essential, including the use of a flint and steel, matches, lighters, or friction-based methods like the bow drill or hand drill. Each method requires practice and understanding of the basic principle of firemaking, heat generation through ignition of a combustible material. Choosing the right tinder and kindling is crucial. Tinder, which catches fire easily, can be dry leaves, grass, or bark. Kindling, slightly larger pieces of wood, helps to build the fire up from the small flame of the tinder. The wood used for fuel must be dry to burn efficiently. The configuration of the fire, such as teepee, log cabin, or lean-to, can also determine how well it burns, especially considering factors like wind direction and airflow. Apart from its practical uses, fire has psychological benefits. It can boost morale, provide a sense of safety and comfort, and be a focal point for calming one's mind. In the darkness of the wilderness, a fire is a beacon of light and hope, a crucial element for mental well-being in survival situations. Signaling for help. In a situation where rescue is needed, effectively signaling for help is vital. There are several methods to signal rescuers, including visual and audio signals. Visual signals can be anything that makes you more visible. Brightly colored clothing, mirrors to reflect sunlight, smoke signals, or creating large ground symbols like an SOS in an open area. Audio signals could include whistles, banging metal objects, or shouting in a pattern. 3 shouts or 3 whistles are commonly recognized distress signals. The choice of signaling method depends on the environment and resources. In clear weather, mirrors or shiny objects can create a flash visible for miles. In contrast, smoke signals are effective in daylight and can be seen over long distances. At night, a fire or flashlight can draw attention. It's essential to be persistent with signals and use them in a way that makes them noticeable against the natural surroundings. Signaling is not just about the physical act of attracting attention. It's also a proactive step in survival. It's about maintaining the hope and will to be rescued, actively participating in one's rescue rather than passively waiting for help. This proactive approach can be critical for psychological resilience in challenging situations. Navigation skills. Navigation skills are crucial in a survival situation to avoid getting lost and to find one's way to safety. Traditional navigation tools like a map and compass are invaluable. Understanding how to read a topographic map and how to use a compass to orient oneself can make the difference between wandering aimlessly and moving towards help. It's important to familiarize oneself with these tools before venturing into the wilderness. In the absence of a compass or GPS, natural navigation methods can be employed. This includes using the position of the sun, the movement of stars, and the growth patterns of moss on trees, which typically grows on the north side in the northern hemisphere. Rivers and streams can also be helpful, as following them downstream often leads to civilization or larger water sources. Navigation skills also include the ability to read the environment for cues. This could be recognizing landmarks, understanding the direction of water flow, or using the wind direction as a guide. These skills require not only knowledge, but also practice, and an attentive connection to the surrounding environment. 7. Identifying edible plants and insects. In a survival situation, foraging for food is a necessary skill. Identifying edible plants and insects can provide vital nourishment. Knowledge of local flora and fauna is essential, as is the ability to distinguish between edible and poisonous species. Edible plants can include berries, nuts, leaves, and roots, but many have lookalikes that are toxic. A good practice is to learn and test plants in a safe environment before a survival situation arises. Insects are an often overlooked but excellent source of protein. Common edible insects include crickets, grasshoppers, ants, and certain grubs. It's important to cook insects to kill any potential pathogens. Just as with plants, some insects can be toxic or harmful, so knowledge and caution are necessary when considering them as a food source. Foraging is more than just finding food. It's about understanding the ecosystem and ensuring sustainability. Overharvesting or damaging plants can impact the environment negatively. Ethical foraging means taking only what you need, leaving no trace, and preserving nature for future growth and for others who might also rely on these resources for survival. 8. Basic first aid and self-care. First aid knowledge is crucial in outdoor survival, as even minor injuries can become life-threatening if not properly treated. Understanding how to treat cuts, burns, and sprains, and knowing how to perform CPR can save lives. Equally important is the ability to recognize symptoms of more severe conditions like hypothermia, heat stroke, or dehydration. Carrying a basic first aid kit and knowing how to use its contents is essential. Self-care extends beyond treating physical injuries. It encompasses managing one's health and well-being in the wild. This includes ensuring adequate rest, maintaining hygiene to prevent infections, and managing stress levels. Stress and fatigue can lead to poor decision-making and accidents, so managing one's mental state is as important as physical health. Basic first aid and self-care also involve preparation before venturing into the wilderness. This includes understanding potential hazards of the area, weather forecasting, and having a plan for emergencies. Preparation, prevention, and the ability to respond effectively are key components of survival, first aid, and self-care. Wildlife awareness and safety. Wildlife encounters in the wilderness can be dangerous. Understanding animal behavior and knowing how to respond appropriately is essential. This includes being aware of the types of wildlife in the area and understanding the risks associated with each. For example, making noise while hiking can prevent surprising bears, and knowing how to store food properly can avoid attracting animals to your campsite. In an encounter with a potentially dangerous animal, it's crucial to know how to react. With bears, for instance, the response varies depending on the species. Playing dead might work with a grizzly, but not with a black bear. With other animals, like snakes or mountain lions, maintaining distance, not making sudden movements, and using a firm voice can help avoid an attack. Respecting wildlife is a fundamental aspect of outdoor survival. This includes understanding that you are in their habitat and should strive to minimize impact. Avoid feeding wildlife, keep campsites clean, and observe from a distance. Coexisting with nature responsibly ensures both your safety and the preservation of wildlife. 10. Practicing knot. Tying. Knot tying is a practical and often underrated skill in survival situations. Different knots serve various purposes, from securing shelters or gear to fishing and first aid. For example, the bowline creates a loop that won't tighten under load, useful for rescue situations, while the taut line hitch is adjustable, perfect for securing tarps. The square knot is ideal for joining two ropes of similar thickness. Practicing these knots and understanding their applications can make a significant difference in survival scenarios. Whether setting up a shelter, making a fishing line, or immobilizing a limb in a first aid situation, the right knot can provide strength, stability, and reliability. It's not just about tying a knot, it's about choosing the right one for the task at hand and tying it correctly. Beyond their practical applications, knots represent a deeper survival philosophy, that of adaptability and resourcefulness. Being able to use what you have effectively is a core survival skill. Knot tying, therefore, is not just a physical skill, but a mental one, embodying the ability to adapt, improvise, and overcome challenges in the wilderness. With these expanded skills in your survival toolkit, you're more than ready to tackle the challenges of the wilderness.